All right, everyone, welcome. Today, in this workshop, we are going to be exploring the power of reflection. Um, the idea of reflection is going to be centering on one of the cards from my whole health card deck, 50 practices to support wellness and well-being in body, mind, and spirit, which I will talk about today. So who I am Tova Abelman. You can learn more about me on my website, tovaabelmancoaching.com. I have my master's in counseling psychology with a concentration in trauma therapy. I am also a registered associate marriage and family therapist. I'm a holistic wellness consultant, and I have a pretty strong focus on working with people through holistic wellness consulting who struggle with weight loss and emotional eating. I also have an MBA. I have my bachelor's in biochemistry and molecular biology. I have a certificate in integrative nutrition, and I am the creator of the Whole Health Card Deck, which is currently available on both Amazon and Etsy. And like I said, in today's workshop, we're really going to be focusing on one specific practice from Whole Health, which is the Reflect practice. And today I'll guide you through some activities, talk a little bit about the importance of reflection, and then a little bit more about the card deck and ways to continue working with me if that's something that you're interested in. So the card deck itself, like I said, it has 50 practices to support wellness and well-being in body, mind, and spirit. There are 6 different domains that are color-coded on the fronts of the cards. And then the backs of the cards are my own photography and digital art. Why did I create this deck? So the idea for the deck started off as an app of a collection of wellness practices. That app is done. It's available in both iOS and Android. You can go check it out if that's something that you're interested in. The app is called Whole Health Mindful Behavior. And that app I created as a way to provide people who, again, struggled with emotional eating and wanted to lose weight with a bunch of practices to address different domains of their life. Because I think that if you just give someone a diet of, eat this, don't eat that, it doesn't really help people to, it doesn't say how to do that, right? A lot of people struggle with eating for a lot of different reasons that aren't particularly due to like physiological hunger. There's cravings. Again, emotional eating is a big one. But doing things in other domains of life, whether that's, through supportive movement, connecting with other people, different types of practices to support a healthier mindset, can really fuel and support changes in eating. So that's kind of how the idea for this deck really started. And why a card deck, when I already had this app in process, that was inspired by my own personal interest in using various types of card decks to support creative self-exploration and personal growth. And I use cards and different types of what I refer to as props in holistic wellness consulting. So if you're curious about that, you might be interested in working with me. If you have an interest in like tarot and oracle cards, I really like using those, but again, in a more self-growth, personal development type of context, not so much definitely not, as a way to predict the future. But I call my process of using cards and images and all that stuff card play. So that's definitely a process that we could use together if that's something that you're interested in. I also have videos available on my YouTube channel on card play. I forget what my YouTube channel is. I think it's Tova Whole Health, like Tova underscore Whole Health. Let me check that. Well, in any case, if you're watching this video, you're probably watching it on YouTube, and so then you've already found me there. in any case, this creative, story-driven way of using cards and self-exploration is, of course, influenced by drama therapy and my love of stories, improv, and art. Like I said, I graduated from a drama therapy program, a master's program. Then I'm also a long-time improviser, and I definitely have an artistic bent, art of all kinds, creative writing, scrapbooking, journaling, photography, all kinds of art. I love it. And then these really more expansive concepts of play, creativity, flexibility, embodiment, relationships, both to ourselves and to other people, and this idea of expansive exploration are some of these deeper, more profound themes that are inherent to drama therapy, that are infused into my card deck and really my overall way of working as a coach or a consultant. And this card deck, being a holistic wellness consultant, doing my YouTube videos, providing this workshop is really grounded in my deep passion for a holistic approach to achieving wellness and well-being. And the card deck was really fueled by this idea that I had of creating an accessible and creative tool to support wellness and well-being, by addressing a more holistic frame, looking at mind, body, and spirit. Because I think that you really aren't going to achieve wellness if any of those areas are lacking. And my intention is to help other people forge a path to cultivate more meaning and peace and create positive goals in their life. So I draw from a lot of different sources, both in my own personal growth and in my professional work. I'm a huge fan of using things like diet and sleep and movement and somatics and breath work and journaling and art and nature to really support my own processes of transformation and growth. And so over time, what I really have is just a collection of practices that have been drawn from a wide range of modalities and approaches to achieving wellness and well-being in body, mind, and spirit. And my goal is really to distill these and weave them together and present them to other people in a way that is understandable and accessible and doable, that these can really be incorporated into one's life. Maybe not everything, maybe not all at once, but just kind of having things that you can pull from that might really be helpful and supportive in your own process of change and moving closer to wellness and well-being. Not every practice will resonate with every single person, and that's okay. The goal is to find what works for you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And going along with that, though, is that core concept of flexibility, which is huge. And it really kind of starts off with that idea that there isn't one right way or a single linear path to wellness and well-being. It might look different for different people. Different people might be struggling in different areas. So maybe one person has a really strong spiritual practice, but their sleep isn't so great, their diet, they eat a lot of inflammatory foods, they don't move that much or in ways that feel really good for them. Someone else has a really strong movement practice. They generally eat an anti-inflammatory diet, but they're really not connecting to creativity, to nature, to a sense of transcendence. And that might really be the area that focusing on would really benefit them. But in any case, the whole health card deck presents options in those 6 domains in a way that allows people to flexibly pick and choose what makes sense for them at a given point in time. And there are different ways to use the deck. I provide on one of the backs of one of like the intro cards or whatever, I present some different ways to use the deck just as the starting point, some general ideas. But really, that process of making choices in terms of how you use the deck, which practices you choose to engage with, and how you decide to do that is really kind of a process that can cultivate inner trust, a sense of attunement within yourself, and intuition. So just kind of how you go about your own process, this like meta process of how you use the deck, can really support these deeper processes of trusting yourself to make choices that are right for you. So there, like I did say that there isn't a specific way to use the deck, and there isn't. But I just want to throw out this idea of starting with a bottom-up approach to health, or to wellness and well-being, particularly if you're new to doing this. If you're just starting from the beginning, um, it can be helpful to consider focusing first on supporting your physical body through sound nutrition, you know, cutting out super inflammatory foods like refined carbs, inflammatory like oils, um, lots of added sugar in particular, finding ways to move your body in ways that feel good for you, optimizing your sleep, and using practices to support nervous system regulation, such as breath work. Um, but these kind of go hand in hand, right? So sometimes having a top-down approach can support changes in these areas as well. So if we kind of think about these two different approaches, bottom up, which is more about supporting the physical body, and top down, which is more centered on changing the mind, emotional stuff, more in the psychological realm, I guess. Um, but kind of weighting the physical stuff more than the spiritual, the mindset kind of stuff. Even though you're maybe dabbling in both, again, weighting that physical stuff a little bit more at the beginning. Just a suggestion, do with that what you will. And then over time, you can kind of shift the balance to focus more on those mind, spiritual practices when you have that physical stuff kind of in process. And all the while remembering that mind, body, and soul are integrated and these impact one another. So even when you are doing something like a nervous system regulate, like breath work, that will likely have an impact also on your mind. When you optimize your sleep, that will affect your mind. Um, these things are not as siloed or separate as I don't want to give that impression. These are everything is related. That's why I have a holistic approach, but I guess just kind of breaking them down into ones that are more focused on the physical body might have downstream effects on the mind and soul, whereas ones that are more focused on the mind and the soul might have downstream effects on the physical body. And there's a lot of underlying physiology as to why that is, which I won't get into in this workshop, but yeah. Anyway, so today the focus is on the practice from Whole Health, and that card is titled Reflect. And the whole domain, the restore domain, is really focusing on the importance of having moments of rest, restoration and stillness in our lives. Um, so I will talk about, oh, I'm just going to read the card right now. So the card says, set aside time aside to meditate, be still, and just be with what is, rather than automatically give in to urges to fix, change, or get rid of it. Reflect on your goals, aspirations, and intentions for the more active doing cycles of your life. Use this restorative practice to take stock of where you are and your intentions for your trajectory moving forward. Winter doesn't last forever. So, my personal connection to restoration is this is something that I've probably been a little bit more intentional about lately. I've recently been more intentional about incorporating some breath work practices into my life, and there actually is a card, or a couple cards in the whole health card deck on breath work. Um, Having time to, I like doing guided meditations. I love doing yoga. I do it, daily, both as part of my workout that I like to do in the morning, and then I also enjoy having some time in the evening where I do some more softer, more like restorative or yin type yoga. Um, I really enjoy journaling, creative writing practices. Um, and when I do my creative writing, there's a bunch of different types of creative writing that I like to do, but sometimes it's nice to have a type of writing that is a little bit more reflective, um, just of various things in general. So those are ways that I personally practice reflection currently. There's also this really nice book. I like the way that she writes. It's called Wintering by Catherine May. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. So you're watching this video, and I invite you to consider that your time doing that is a moment of reflection for yourself. Hold on, let me drink some water. This is, time that you've set aside for yourself with an intention of reflection. So, before we move more into embodying and practicing reflection together, let's come into this space with a mindfulness practice to kind of center and ground ourselves into a more reflective quality of energy. And this also is going to serve as an opening ritual, which marks that energetic transition into the liminality of today's workshop. So I invite you to get comfortable. You can keep your eyes open, or you can look downward with a soft gaze. Take a deep breath, inhaling through your nose, filling your belly, and then exhaling through your mouth. Continue this for a few breaths. You might try inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and then pausing for a count of 4 before beginning the cycle again. Now I invite you to take a deep breath in and imagine a bright beam of light coming in through the top of your head and traveling all the way down your spine to your tailbone. And now I invite you to imagine or visualize a grounding cord, like a taproot of a very large tree, connecting you deep, deep into the core of the earth. Feel a deep, very deep connection to the earth. Continue your breathing, and as you continue, just focus on and see just how deep your grounding cord can go. Start to bring your attention back to the space you are in and back to this workshop. And when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. So I invite you to grab a journal, whatever that looks like for you, and answer these 3 questions. So I suggest pausing this presentation or this workshop while you engage in this practice. And I suggest giving yourself maybe 1 minute, anywhere up to 5 minutes. A good average space is about 3 minutes per question to answer these 3 questions. So, maybe set a timer on your phone for 1 minute or 5 minutes for each question, or 3 minutes for each question. So Answering these three questions should take you anywhere from approximately 3 minutes in total, 9 minutes in total, or up to 15 minutes in total. And you can write, you can draw, whatever, however you want to answer these, in whatever format works for you. So you'll do that first. And the questions are: what challenges are you currently facing? What hopes, inspirations, and possibilities bring you to this workshop? And then what is a deeper reason that brings you to this workshop? So once you've taken the time to explore those questions, distill all of that, all of what you've written, all of what you've drawn, into one word. So that's that practice. So you can pause, set your timer and do that. And then I'm going to continue with the rest of this workshop, assuming that you've already engaged in this practice. So this idea of reflection also encompasses this concept of being with versus doing. And I invite you to, take time, or just as you're going about your day, notice when there's an urge to fix or change something. Be curious about it, and then decide whether it's something to act on or make space for. And that includes expectations for other people in your life, expectations for what they should or shouldn't be doing, or even thinking about when we text someone and they don't text us back and we think that they should, and why haven't they text us back, um, things like that, and kind of dwelling in the space of uncertainty, which can be really uncomfortable. And I think in many cases, that's where that urge to fix or change or do might come from, to get us out of that uncertain space. But reflecting can involve noticing when that's what's driving us, and choosing instead to kind of hang out and be in that place of uncertainty and not knowing, where we kind of just are allowing things to be just as they are, right? We're not trying to control or manipulate, just letting things unfold in their own process. And again, this isn't always ideal, but it's really kind of up to you to start to develop that power of reflection and awareness, to kind of start to see, when you are experiencing an urge to fix or change or do something, what's driving it, and what might be hard or difficult about allowing things to be just as they are. And particularly when that difficulty is driven by that need for certainty and knowing, because having things be unknown or uncertain is just feels too uncomfortable. But when we can, more water, but when we can practice stillness and calm and a slowed reaction, those can be really powerful and transformative acts, both in terms of how we relate to ourselves, others, and the presence that we bring to the spaces we inhabit in our life. So some ways that you can practice reflection in your life outside of this workshop include journaling, or setting time aside for creative and reflective writing, practicing mindfulness. And mindfulness isn't just meditation, it's just bringing this mindful awareness to either what we're doing, or even what we're thinking, and how we're engaging with ourselves and our thoughts and our urges and all of that stuff, that inner stuff. Engaging in creative projects, meditation, of course, yoga, especially the more restorative practices, is a really nice way to integrate physical, bodily based restorative practice with a mind based restorative practice. Spending time in nature, and really kind of cultivating that attitude of being with versus solving or fixing or doing. And I think that can be really helpful in interpersonal situations, like with other people in our lives. Um, just something to think about, again, just like with all of these, thinking about how that might relate to you and your personal situation, whether it does or it doesn't. And again, there's that empowerment and that autonomy that you get to develop in choosing what feels right for you or what you want to try, um, and what makes sense given your own unique context. So if this reflect practice, if you're interested in it, if you're interested in checking out some other practices and other domains, like I said earlier, the Whole Health Card Deck is available for purchase on Amazon and Etsy. Um, if you search for them, or on those platforms, or on my website tovawomencoaching.com, you'll be able to find links for those. I do offer a one-on-one consultation to support you in enhancing your wellness and well-being through a holistic approach, integrating mind, body, and spirit. If that's something that you'd like more support on, or finding ways to incorporate, this practice or other practices, more centered on uh, your unique context and your life, we can definitely work together on that. I also love doing group type workshops that integrate a lot of tools, concepts, and practices. I'm putting together ones that topics include emotional eating and weight loss, enhancing wellness and well-being, largely using like embodiment and story and all of that. And other groups using story and metaphor for self-exploration and personal growth, groups using the card play process I described earlier. So if you're interested in any of those groups, please send me an email. I'll give you my email on the next slide and let me know. If there's one group in particular that you'd be interested in joining, please specify that group as well. Um, if you're interested in working with me, if you're interested in participating in one of the groups, or if you're interested in getting my card deck, this is where you can find me and contact me. My website is www.tovaabelmancoaching.com, and my email is tovaabelmancoaching@gmail.com. So thank you for watching this and for participating in this workshop. Again, this was a really special moment to set aside to focus on your own wellness and well-being, centering on the practice of reflect and reflection.